This is insane. We're going to talk about some of the schneids that the Devils got off of last night in their 3-1 win over the Utah Hockey Club, including great goaltending from goalie Nico Daws. Timo Meier broke a streak of his own. We'll talk about that. And, of course, the potential injury to Luke Hughes, even though he returned last night. We're going to break it all down here on Devil's Digest. I'm your host, Ryan the Gosiker, here with you. As always, having fun. And I want to give you a chance real quick before we get into the show to be one of the first subscribers here on Devil's Digest. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and we'll get right into the show. So we want to talk about the Devils' 3-1 win over the Utah Hockey Club. And what an important win for the Devils, as Columbus, you can see it down there on the standings chart, just continues to climb and rack up points. And going into the game, the Devils were actually only 2 points ahead of Columbus, with Columbus having a game in hand because Columbus played earlier in the day in the Stadium Series. Now, the Devils' big win comes with some big performances, and not necessarily from the top guys that you would expect. Number one being Kurtis Lazar, who scored in this game. Now, talking about how rare this is, just look at this stat. Kurtis Lazar's goal was the first time a Devils center not named Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier scored since November 30th. November 30th. We were in a completely different age. It feels like the Stone Age if you're really thinking about it. That feels like forever ago. We're talking about around Thanksgiving, and I believe that goal was Justin Dowling because Erik Haula hasn't had a point since before Thanksgiving. So it had to have been Justin Dowling, which is kind of crazy, right? We've talked about in these videos about how Dowling is okay, not great, not superb. He's a journeyman in the NHL. He's really an AHL journeyman, but has kind of found his way to some playing time here with the Devils. But also, to back up the Kurtis Lazar stat, not only is it the first time a Devils center not named Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier scored since November 30th, it's also Lazar's personal first goal since October 25th against the Islanders. And I have the game log here for you. I know it's a little bit tough to see, but Kurtis Lazar had not scored since October. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with right now with the Devils. And this bottom six, it feels like a broken record, right? We've been talking about it. They got to trade this. They got to trade that. They got to get somebody in the bottom six. We're not lying. Look at the numbers. The numbers, sometimes stats lie, right? Sometimes there's things we can see, and we'll get to them. One in being Timo Meier, where kind of feels like the stats have lied in a lot of different ways. But their production has been non-existent in the bottom six. It has been an atrocity, and it's probably one of the worst in the league, which is insane when you're talking about a team that's third in their division, and I think they're 8 or 10 points clear of a playoff spot. So it's hard to be talking about a team like that, but their top end is just so good. And part of the reason that they've been able to hold on and be so good despite the lack of bottom six scoring has got to be their goaltending. And one of them, importantly, is Nico Daws, who has stepped in to be the backup since Jacob Markstrom is out. I actually got a little teaser for you at the end of this video about Jacob Markstrom, okay? But it's been Jake Allen and Nico Daws, and you can see by Daws' game line and game logs, he's been incredible for this team. The most goals he's allowed is 2. That's his loss right there. Other than that, he has been superb for this Devils team. And you look at that, there's a couple shutouts in there. And then, of course, against Utah, he only allows 1. So Nico Daws has really proven to the Devils that, hey, man, don't forget about us, right? When Jacob Markstrom retires, which, we don't want to talk about it, but is not in the far distant future, it's a lot closer than I think a lot of us think. So, but Nico Daws is putting his stamp on, and there's some other Devils prospects that we'll break down in a different video. But the Devils goalie situation has kept them afloat because they really, since Markstrom has gone out, they've played 500 hockey. And it's not because necessarily of their goaltending. If you watch their offense, you know why they've been 500 since Jacob Markstrom went out. They've seemingly disappeared. They're trying to get their footing back and everything like that. So we will see. But again, to have a guy like Kurtis Lazar score for the first time since October is massive. But to get the goaltending behind it has been critical. And it's been something that the Devils are vastly improved in And potentially it's one of the most improved units in the league. And I think it is the most improved unit in the league when you look year over year what the Devils were last year, their goaltending disaster, and then they trade for 2 starting goaltenders at the trade deadline. How many contenders are doing that? And then they try to piece it together and they still miss the playoffs. So what they've been able to do this year with Markstrom and Allen and Daws filling in now as the backup since Markstrom's been hurt is nothing short of amazing. Now, another big key contributor to this win against Utah was none other than Mr. Timo Meier. And it's been a while, but Timo Meier scored for the first time in, I believe it was 53 or 54 shots. And you look at Timo's numbers on the year, and this is where I say sometimes I feel like stats lie. Yes, he only has 16 goals. Yes, he only has 23 assists, 39 points. That's not good enough for a guy making $8.8 million AAV for the next, 6-7 years. I agree. However, if you dive deeper, and we don't have it here, but if you dive into his advanced statistics, his expected goals per 60, I believe he's top on the Devils. And the guy has just been getting stonewalled by these goaltenders, right? Yes, he has to finish. Yes, that's part of his job. Yes, that's what he gets paid to do. But let's not act like he's playing against the open net. Like, he's playing against NHL goaltenders that are trying to stop him as much as he's trying to score on them. So let's chill the Timo Meier rhetoric a little bit. Certainly a monster goal for him last night. It was just absolutely critical. First of all, it's the game winner, right? It made it 2-1, so it's the game winner. But it also just, you can almost feel a sigh of relief. And Timo Meier, they showed it on the broadcast last night on MSG with Bill Spaulding and Ken Danico calling the game, that last year when March hit, Timo Meier became the highest scorer or top 3 in the entire National Hockey League. So hopefully this is Timo March, instead of Timo Meier, Timo March. Hopefully. We'll see. The Devils need him to be that way. Now, also remember, too, his goals are a little bit down. He's not playing on the power play 1 at all. We can argue about whether he should be getting action or not, but he's not. So that's where some of his, point lowering comes from as compared to when he was in San Jose and he was the main focal point in that offense. So that's why I say sometimes numbers lie, and we just got to be careful with, what we're reading and what we go into. But the last component of this game against Utah that I want to get into is the potential injury to Luke Hughes. And that was a scary moment, I have to tell you. It was very scary for all of us involved because you just look at, first of all, you look at this game log of the Devils and what they've been able to do. And look at the game Luke Hughes had. Take a minute to kind of try and read that graphic and see how it all kind of goes. He is so vital to this team right now, and he's playing such a high level of defense. I mean, the Hughes brothers are 1-2, by the way, in that graphic. So it's not necessarily just the younger kid playing great. His brother's playing well, too. So it's great to see. But Luke Hughes went down last night. He was holding the shoulder pec area, right? Always scary. There's people, wherever they're watching, whether it's on the broadcast, whether they hear it on the radio, whether they're there in person, right? Everybody's trying to give their view. Some people said, hey, last time I saw a Devil do that was Dougie Hamilton last year when he tore his pec. He was out the rest of the season. The good news is, and actually, believe it or not, I thought I was going to be leading this video with the Luke Hughes injury. He returned in the third period last night. He is, he's okay, and he played well in the third period. So, it's good to see Luke Hughes, be okay, right? I mean, that's Devil fans have that, up in the air trying to make sure that he's okay because Devils can't really afford to lose any more defensemen, right? I mean, yes, they have Seamus Casey, but now you're talking about a potential pairing of Casey and Nemec, and you're like, all these young guys, they did this last year. They did this experiment last year, and it didn't turn out too well for them. So good to see Luke Hughes was not injured in this game. He was injured at a certain point, but the injury just caused him to miss the final, I believe, minute and a half, 2 minutes of the second period. He returned for the third period, and he was awesome. Now, I told you I had a teaser about Jacob Markstrom. This tweet came out yesterday that Sheldon Keefe says he's progressing well, right? I think we're getting really, really close to a Jacob Markstrom return, which is kind of unfortunate for Nico Daws. As we mentioned, he's been so good for this team. But to have Markstrom back in net, who was just straight up balling when he was last seen on the ice, it's going to be so great to have him back. So a great overall win for the Devils, a team win, right? Kurtis Lazar scores his first goal since October 25th. Okay, I had to like fully research that stat because I just couldn't believe it. Nico Daws, solid in net. Timo Meier gets off the schneid, all right, and puts one in the back of the net. Hopefully this is, Timo's in the kitchen cooking a little bit. Hopefully he's going to get to that point. And then Luke Hughes avoids disaster and a potential long-term injury. We'll see how he kind of continues to play. They got a game against Vegas. They go to Dallas before they return home against Winnipeg, which I will be at. I'm excited to be back at the Rock. It's been over a month since I've been back. I think it'll be almost 6 weeks when I go on the 7th. So I miss that place, and I miss being, with the fans. So it's going to be good. Devils fans, hold on for the rest of this road trip, right? Let the Devils get home, and let's see what they can do as they try to make their playoff push and try to hold on to that third spot in the division and try to hold on to their playoff spot. And March 7th is the trade deadline, 3 p.m. So Devils will be active. They'll make some moves. Just stay tuned for it all. You can catch everything here on Devils Digest. We'll break it down. Rumors, trades that go down, reaction, live game reaction, anything you need, we've got it here right on Devils Digest. So I'm Ryan the Goose Gosiker, your host. I want to give you a chance to be one of our first subscribers here on the channel and give you a chance to just hit that subscribe button for us and be one of our first subscribers. But also, I would urge you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. What do the Devils need? What have you liked from the Devils? What do you not like from the Devils? Do you just not like the patience of the GM, if you want to use patience, if you want to call it arrogance, whatever you want to call it, let me know what you think in the comment section. And of course, I'll catch you next time here on Devils Digest. For Ryan the Goose Gosiker, everybody, have a great weekend. Have a great day. And go out there, be productive, and have some fun watching Devils hockey. We'll catch you next time.